Imagine a lecture hall filled with eager students, notebooks ready, eyes focused on the professor standing at the front. The air is thick with anticipation as the professor, an older man with a lifetime of wisdom behind him, leans forward and asks, "Have you ever wondered how music can transform not just your emotions, but your very soul?" The students, some nodding, others curious, lean in a little closer. The professor smiles, sensing the intrigue in the room. "You see," he continues, "there's a man, a legendary musician, who didn't just change the course of jazz, he found a way to weave his spiritual journey into every note he played. His name? Herbie Hancock. Today, we're not just going to talk about his music. We're going to explore how Buddhism became the compass that guided his creativity and shaped his life's work." The room goes silent, as the students prepare to embark on a journey into the extraordinary life of Herbie Hancock, a journey of sound, spirituality, and profound transformation. Herbie Hancock, a jazz legend shaped by Buddhism. Have you ever heard music that seemed to transcend the very boundaries of sound and speak directly to your soul? That's the magic of Herbie Hancock. With a career that spans more than 6 decades, this jazz maestro has done far more than simply play music. He's redefined what it means to be an artist, a creator, and a human being. But what makes Herbie Hancock's journey truly unique? What is it about his path that has allowed him to continually break boundaries and push the limits of music itself? The answer lies not just in his immense talent but in the deep spiritual transformation he experienced through Buddhism. Let's dive into the remarkable life of Herbie Hancock, one of the most influential jazz musicians the world has ever known, and explore how his devotion to Nichiren Buddhism has profoundly shaped his life. His music, and his very soul, early life, foundations in music and creativity. Herbie Hancock was born on April 12, 1940, in the vibrant city of Chicago, Illinois. From the very beginning, it was clear that this boy was something special. Can you imagine being a child prodigy at the piano, wowing audiences with performances alongside the Chicago Symphony Orchestra at just 11 years old? What an incredible feat! The technical prowess he demonstrated in classical music provided Hancock with a strong foundation, teaching him the structures and discipline of composition. But even then, the young Herbie was searching for something more. He craved freedom, the kind that allowed him to break free from the constraints of rigid musical rules. It was jazz, with its wild improvisations and boundless creativity, that called to him. As a teenager, Herbie found himself drawn toward the works of legends like Bill Evans and Oscar Peterson. But even though these giants inspired him, there was always something different about Herbie. He wasn't just another jazz musician following in the footsteps of those who came before him. He was charting his own path, the birth of a jazz innovator. At just 23 years old, Herbie Hancock caught the break of a lifetime when he was invited to join the Miles Davis Quintet. Can you imagine the sheer thrill of being the youngest member in a group of such giants? Working alongside luminaries like Wayne Shorter, Ron Carter, Tony Williams, and of course, the legendary Miles Davis himself, Hancock's artistry blossomed. It was here that Herbie began crafting his distinct sound, a blend of modal jazz, hard bop, and avant-garde experimentation. With this group, Hancock didn't just learn, he thrived. And yet, even as his musical career skyrocketed, a part of Herbie remained restless. There were larger, more existential questions swirling in his mind. What was his true purpose? Could there be something deeper guiding his creative journey? The discovery of Buddhism, a path to inner transformation. As the 1970s rolled around, Herbie Hancock, despite his fame, was grappling with questions that many of us face at some point in our lives. Have you ever felt lost despite having everything you ever dreamed of? Hancock was already a celebrated musician, but something was missing, something profound. It was in this moment of soul-searching that his dear friend, saxophonist Wayne Shorter, introduced him to Nichiren Buddhism, a spiritual path that would forever alter the course of his life. Nichiren Buddhism, specifically the teachings of Soka Gakkai, isn't just about chanting or following rituals. It's a profound philosophy that emphasizes the power of each individual to transform their lives and the world around them. The practice of chanting Nam Myo Horenchkyo, in particular, is central to unlocking one's full potential and achieving enlightenment. For Herbie, this practice was nothing short of a revelation. Imagine being able to access a state of mind where fear, doubt, and creative blockages simply melt away. Through this newfound spiritual practice, Herbie discovered that the answers he sought didn't lie in external accolades or success, they were within him all along. His personal human revolution, as it is called in Nichiren Buddhism, began. And with it, his music transformed. 2. Music meets spirituality. The role of Buddhism in Hancock's musical innovation. One of the most awe-inspiring things about Herbie Hancock is how his Buddhist practice deeply intertwines with his music. You can almost hear the influence of his spirituality in every note he plays. But how exactly does Buddhism shape the way Herbie creates his groundbreaking music? For Hancock, Buddhism isn't just a faith, it's a way of life that infuses every aspect of his being, including his creative process. He often talks about how chanting Nam Myo Horenchkyo allows him to tap into his intuition. It's as though the practice opens a channel to something larger than himself, allowing him to step aside and let the music flow through him rather than from him. Isn't that incredible? Can you imagine being so deeply connected to the universe that you're not just creating art, you're channeling it? Think about his legendary composition Maiden Voyage. It's a masterpiece that has become a jazz standard. And yet, Hancock describes the process of writing it as something effortless, as though the melody simply flowed through him. This, he says, is the power of his Buddhist practice. It's about letting go of ego, embracing non-attachment, and allowing creativity to arise naturally. It's no wonder his music feels so profoundly alive. Creativity, intuition, and interconnectedness in music. One of the central tenets of Nichiren Buddhism is the idea of interconnectedness. Everything in life is connected, every person, every event, every sound. And in Hancock's music, this belief comes to life in the most magical way. Jazz, especially, is a genre that thrives on improvisation, on musicians responding to one another in real time. Hancock's ability to listen, to really listen, sets him apart from so many of his peers. His Buddhist practice has taught him the value of empathy and humility, and you can hear that in the way he plays. Have you ever experienced a piece of music that felt like a conversation between souls? That's exactly what happens when Hancock performs with others. Whether it's his early days with Miles Davis or his later collaborations with artists from all over the world, Hancock's music embodies the Buddhist principle that we are all interconnected. His ability to sense the energy and contributions of his fellow musicians is nothing short of extraordinary, and this philosophy extends beyond just his jazz ensembles. Take his groundbreaking album The Imagine Project from 2010. Here, Hancock brought together musicians from diverse cultures and backgrounds, artists like India Ari, John Legend, and Anushka Shankar, to create something that transcended genres and cultural boundaries. The themes of the album? Peace, unity, and social justice, all values deeply rooted in Hancock's Buddhist beliefs. Overcoming adversity, a lesson from Buddhism. Of course, like all great artists, Herbie Hancock has faced his share of challenges. What's remarkable, however, is the way he has consistently used his Buddhist practice to turn those challenges into opportunities for growth. Do you remember the backlash he faced in the late 1970s and early 1980s when he began experimenting with electronic music and funk? Some jazz purists were outraged. They accused him of abandoning real jazz, claiming that he was diluting the art form by incorporating popular elements, but Hancock didn't let that criticism stop him. Oh no. Instead, he embraced it as an opportunity to push the boundaries of his music even further. His practice of Buddhism taught him that adversity is not something to be feared but something to be welcomed as a chance for inner transformation. How powerful is that? Can you imagine having the strength to face your critics and not just survive but thrive? Hancock's response to the backlash was to create Future Shock, 1983, one of the most innovative albums of his career, which included the hit single Rocket. This was a bold fusion of jazz, electronic music, And hip-hop, unlike anything that had ever been done before. And guess what? The critics who had once tried to tear him down suddenly had to reckon with the genius of his innovation, the evolution of Hancock's music, a spiritual journey. As Herbie Hancock's spiritual practice deepened, so too did the spiritual dimension of his music. Have you ever noticed how some artists seem to get better with age? Hancock is one of those rare musicians whose work continues to evolve and grow, becoming richer and more profound over time. His Buddhist practice has been a guiding light, helping him stay grounded while pushing the envelope of creativity. One of the best examples of this spiritual evolution can be found in his album River, The Joni Letters, 2007. A tribute to singer-songwriter Joni Mitchell. The album, which won a Grammy for Album of the Year, is a breathtaking blend of emotional depth and technical brilliance. Hancock has spoken about how his Buddhist practice allowed him to connect with the essence of Mitchell's music on a deeper level. It's as if his spirituality enables him to reach a place of universal understanding, where his interpretation of her songs feels deeply personal yet transcends individual experience. In every note, every melody, Hancock's music radiates the qualities of compassion, empathy, and interconnectedness that are at the heart of Nichiren Buddhism. His work isn't just about making great music, it's about creating a sense of unity, promoting peace, and connecting with something far greater than ourselves. Herbie Hancock's legacy, a life of innovation and compassion. As we look back on Herbie Hancock's incredible career, it's impossible not to be in awe of the sheer scope of his achievements. From the classical prodigy in Chicago to the jazz innovator who transformed music with Miles Davis, to the electronic pioneer who defied his critics, Hancock's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Herbie Hancock is not just his music, it's his spirit. His commitment to Nichiren Buddhism has given him the tools to navigate life's challenges with grace, resilience, and compassion. It's what has allowed him to take risks, push boundaries, and continuously evolve as an artist. And in a world that often seems divided, Hancock's music serves as a powerful reminder that we are all connected. So, what can we learn from Herbie Hancock's story? Maybe it's the importance of never giving up, of always pushing forward no matter the odds. Or perhaps it's the realization that true creativity comes not from forcing ideas but from letting them flow naturally, in tune with the universe. Whatever it is, there's no denying that Herbie Hancock has given the world a gift far greater than just his music. He's shown us what's possible when we align our lives with our highest values, follow our intuition, and believe in the limitless potential of the human spirit. In the end, Herbie Hancock's legacy is one of innovation, compassion, and above all, inspiration. His music has touched the lives of millions, and his journey as a Buddhist practitioner continues to inspire countless others to seek their own paths of transformation and growth. So, the next time you listen to one of Hancock's masterpieces, remember that you're not just hearing notes, you're hearing the sound of a soul that has been shaped by both music and spiritual awakening. Isn't that something truly worth celebrating? As the professor's voice fills the room, he concludes the lecture with a sense of calm and reverence, much like the music of Herbie Hancock himself. And so, as we've explored today, Herbie Hancock didn't just play music, he lived it. His journey through Buddhism wasn't a separate path from his art, it was intertwined with every note, every improvisation, every bold experiment he dared to try. Buddhism gave him the courage to push boundaries and the wisdom to see interconnectedness in all things. That's the true essence of his genius. He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle over the students. So, as you leave this lecture today, the professor says, his voice softer now. Ask yourselves, how can your inner world shape your outer creations? How can you tap into that flow where intuition, art, and life come together as one? Because, like Herbie Hancock, you too have the power to transform not just your work, but the world around you. The students, deeply moved, begin to close their notebooks. As they gather their things, some linger, reflecting on the lesson that had transcended the technicalities of jazz and become a meditation on life itself. The professor smiles once more, watching them leave. In the quiet of the room, he knows that today wasn't just about teaching music, it was about showing how the human spirit, when aligned with something greater, can create something timeless, something profound. Just like Herbie Hancock has done time and time again.